step. That's what it's all about.
Hey, welcome. This is the Crimson Dynasty, best show in the YouTube space. I'm your host, C'Chi. We have two of the best co-hosts here. Before we get started, I want to get everyone to go ahead and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. I know that we don't really have to tell people that, but we're going to say it anyway because I think we've been having a lot of new visitors kind of in our chat, and we hope y'all are there tonight because we're going to have a few minutes for some of the trolls tonight. So go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos. We're always dropping hot content, especially about recruits. So we're going to have some really hot topics tonight with our guest of honor. But like I said, this is the Crimson Dynasty, and we are one of the shows that's a part of the Bama Standard Network. We focus a lot on our opponents throughout the season. We try to give a breakdown on who we're playing, some of the players, etc. So we have a lot of hot information here. Now, like I said, I have two of the best co-hosts here. We have Dan James IV from The Final Whistle, which is another one of our shows at the Bama Standard Network. It comes on every Tuesday night. And then we have Hannah, and she's awesome, Hannah Stevens. And you probably seen her on a few other college football shows. She's a part of the ESPN radio podcast in Huntsville, Alabama. So she's doing her thing as well. But before we get started, before we jump right in, and before I introduce our guest, I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Workspace Solutions. Shout out to them. We have their website listed in the banner below. So if you need any type of digital branding services, if you just want to amplify your online presence, reach out to them directly. Let them know that we sent you there. And then also, if you need any type of marketing solutions for your company or even personally, just reach out to them. So like I said, I'm your host, C'Chi. I'm excited about today. We have some commitment news to announce. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I want to go ahead and introduce our guest. This is Jerrell Harris, the one, the only. He's a former Alabama linebacker, and he was actually at Alabama when Coach Saban was there when he first got there. So y'all know that crew. Like, we don't even have to say much about them. Like, they were that was the cream of the crop. But Jerrell was at Alabama from 2008 to 2012, and he's originally from Gaston, Alabama. He played in the NFL for a few years, the New England Patriots, Oakland Raiders, Detroit Lions. I mean, he really did his thing. Now, one thing that stood out to me, Jerrell, before we start, asking you questions, is that you chose Alabama over, of course, raggedy Auburn, Clemson, Tennessee, and a few other schools. Now, my first question to you is, I know that you're from the state of Alabama, so that probably has something to do with it, but were there any other deciding factors as to why you chose Alabama over those raggedy schools that I named?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you for having me. Now, okay, first question. You said, was there any other factors that
Yeah, because a lot of times, especially with Coach Saban, we saw how well he did as far as recruiting in state. And so I know that you're from the state of Alabama, and a lot of times that does play a factor into why you chose, the University of Alabama. But I'm curious, was there anything else, any other reasons?
Man, and this is gonna be funny. So the interesting thing is, Alabama was probably my third choice that year. Right. Most people don't remember, but I was actually committed to Southern Cal. So I was actually going out there with my family. I'm used to them being able to come to the games and support and stuff. And, we just had a long conversation, and it was just like, hey, if you go to Southern Cal, we're not going to be able to come out there and see you play. You're going to be out there by yourself. Right. So that kind of, took Pete Carroll out of the equation. Then my second school was Florida State. Right. And so I went down to Florida State and visited, and they was just coming off of probation that year. Right. And so they had brought in a whole bunch of linebackers from the state of Florida. I think it was like 3 or 4 of them that I was like, I don't know if I want to be in that mix. So Alabama was the next best choice. I called a lot of the guys who was in the class, the BJ Scotts, the Julio Jones, the Courtney Upshaws and all this. And I was like, hey, where are we going? What are we going to do? And, collectively, we kind of all decided to go to Alabama and turn it around.
Oh, wow. So that was more. Oh, wow. Well, that speaks volumes. I mean, you look at the guys that we have right now, for instance, James Smith and Quay Russaw, out of Montgomery, Alabama, and how it was kind of the same where they were like, okay, well, wherever we go, it's going to be a package deal. We're going to both go to Alabama or another school together. So it sounds similar to that. And I think, Hannah, that's awesome. And then, Hannah, I think you wanted to piggyback off of that.
Yeah, so I want to kind of go back to what you were saying about USC, right? Like,
Mhm.
and Pete Carroll. A lot of people forget that Pete Carroll, obviously he just got let go with Seahawks.
Mhm.
But, USC was kind of the Alabama that time. They were the dynasty. They were the football team that everyone wanted to be. So, I kind of want to back up and focus on that for a minute, because you were a lot like these players are now. They want to go to a program that is
Mhm.
winning, right? That has proven success. What is it like picking a team like Alabama, not knowing? Because at that point, I mean, we hadn't won a national championship since 1992, like the year I was
Mhm.
born, right? Like it had been a long, and we had just gone through the Franchione, the Shula, the one day of having Mike Price as head coach. So take us through your thoughts on that. Obviously, family was a big part of it, but what was it like as an athlete knowing you had the opportunity to go to a program like USC? And I want to preface this by saying, Bama fans, I'm not bashing Alabama. I'm just going back to that time when
Mhm.
Alabama did not have that proven success yet. So what was that like for you? Were you wanting to be that player that kind of helped turn a program around? Were you kind of like, we're going to see what happens? I mean, take us through that emotional part of knowing you could have gone to USC and then not transferring, but choosing to go to Alabama.
No, 100%. Like you said, at that time, Southern Cal was dominant. I mean, they had players getting drafted who wasn't even playing. Who was in backup roles. They had celebrities at practice. So it was it was pretty hot to go there. I think when the decision came to go to Alabama, I think it was a couple factors that they kind of set in place. I think me going to Southern Cal, I was underneath the impression that I was like, okay, this is going to be the long game. Like, I'm probably gonna have to sit a couple years and kind of pay my dues, whatever. But 2008, because I think Coach Saban, that was out his first year in 07, they had only won like maybe 7 games or something, in 2007. So it wasn't like they were showing any signs of a national championship.
Yep.
I think the biggest factors were what you're seeing now is we had the number 1 recruiting class. At that time, we had the most 5-star, 4 and 5-star players in the state of Alabama who was nationally recruited.
Yeah.
So all the visits and the All-Star games and everything, we kept seeing each other at all these games and these camps, at the top of our positions. And so, like I said, collectively, it was kind of like, why not we just go down and turn the program around?
That's right.
Right.
Mm.
Like I said, we can go to Oklahoma and Southern Cal, Texas. We can go all these other places, but collectively, like, man, I think we have enough people in enough different positions where, hey, we can go down and fix this thing and turn it around. And I think Coach Saban, in return, was not promising us anything, but he was going to give us the opportunity. He was like, hey, if y'all can come in and take these guys' positions, hey, we're going to play y'all. Right. And so, that was all we wanted, was the opportunity. And so I think the opportunity was what we dove at. We was like, we got a chance to really build something. Now, did we know it was going to happen that quickly? No. But because collectively, I think by us coming in so strong, it made the guys who's already there better, right? Because at this point now they had to upgrade and level up their competitiveness and just be better players, right?
Sure.
And so that pushed them harder, right? And so after that, it was kind of steamrolling. The rest was history.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Dan, any questions or anything from your side?
Well, you took my my question, Hannah.
Oh.
But Jerrell,
My bad.
My bad.
give me
Just call me Michigan. I just assign, like science over here.
Exactly.
give me your most memorable Alabama moment.
Man, I got so many. That's hard to pick one. I would say the most memorable was when I first got to Alabama. I remember it was a guy that was recruiting me named Major Applewhite, right? And he had just left and went to Texas before I got there. And I remember him saying, he was like, man, if you come to Alabama, you're going to be a rock star without a guitar. And I was like, I'm like, what does that even mean, right? And, not knowing the magnitude of what just happened. And I just remember me, Julio, BJ Scott, a couple other guys, we go to the mall on McFarland, and literally people were literally chasing us like
Mhm.
running in the mall to get our autographs. And that
Mhm.
was like the craziest thing, you know. It's kind of like it kind of puts you in the old movies when the celebrity walks in the mall and they run them up out of there, you know. So it was the
No.
craziest thing. You know, these people knew our stats, they knew where we came from and how many tackles we had. So that was probably the craziest memory right there. I was like,
Sure.
okay, yeah, we made the right decision for sure.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, Hannah, I think you had a follow up.
Yeah, piggybacking off, I guess I'm just a piggybacker today. I think I've said that 3 times now. Don't even normally say that, but backing up to what you were talking about when you had that group of guys that you saw on a regular basis, right?
Mhm.
We've been talking on the show a lot about how players are recruiting players, right? That they're
Mhm.
really the ones that are saying, bro, come here. Like, we've got this. Like, we're going to create this. I know it's a little different now because of social media and, all the hype and all of that. But how important is it for these guys to have, a Ryan Williams or whomever reach out to them and say, like, hey, this is the vision. Akylin Dear is the guy. Come to Tuscaloosa. Let's get her done. We're going to get back to Alabama being a national championship team. What does that do for a young guy that's maybe 17, 18 years old to have other players reach out to him with that vision? I mean, how much does it actually impact their, desire or, their capability to just say, all right, let's do it?
I think that's the hidden gem, right? I think most people don't really understand how crucial and how beneficial that is. Because when you're a 17-year-old kid that's coming out, I mean, let's face it. In most cases, your coaches are not guaranteed to be there, right? That's kind of the hidden thing that people don't really like to talk about. I think in this scenario, we know he gonna be there at least for a little while. But most cases, most coaches only have 1 or 2 years,
That's
when a
right.
kid gets there. So for you to have the players recruiting you, I think that just solidifies why you need to, because this is who you're going to be with, regardless of who's the coach. I
That's
knew
right.
that I was going to be with my guys. And so every single day, I had to like them, right? I don't care how much you like the coach. If you don't like the guys you're practicing with, hanging out
Exactly.
with, it's not going to be a good fit for you, especially when you got guys coming from out of state and other places. Like, you got to be able to mesh well with those guys, So like when we had guys like Mark Ingram coming from Flint, Michigan, and these far places, like he had to mesh well with us,
Yeah.
And I think you've seen how well it turned out.
Yeah. And I see, I saw a question in the live chat, and shout out to everyone in the live chat. Y'all, look, light that thing up. If y'all see any trolls, let them know what time it is. Y'all know it's Bama Nation over here. Now, we do have a question from one of our audience members, Keith Holcomb. Jerrell, do you see parallels to the 08-09 recruiting to what's happening right now with DeBoer?
Absolutely. I definitely do, man. I'm excited about what he's doing right now. I think the changes that he's implementing are necessary. I think it fits the timing that we're in. I think he got some really key recruits to come in and get on board early, right? That's always going to help your success. It's just having those guys, especially when they in-state guys and they're, like I said, they're rooting for you and they're excited. They're freshmen, so it's crazy, right? Because I remember being a freshman and going down to Pensacola and talking to Trent and giving him phone calls, and those guys, man, you need that. It's very vital.
Yeah. And another question. So you were a part of 2 of our national championship teams. So that 2009 and then the 2011, right?
Yes.
Right. So I want to get your opinion on this, because they have different meanings. I believe I know what your answer is going to be, but I want to ask anyway. Which of them meant more to you and why?
Which of them meant more to me and why?
Yeah.
I would say probably the 2009 one meant more, right? And crazy as it sounds, I played less in 2009. However, I think the first one always means more, right? Because like I said, we had just went from them being 7-7 in 2007 to winning the championship in 2009. So to have that quick turnaround and just to kind of see everything kind of transform, it seemed like it was long in the moment, but now it looked like it was overnight.
Yeah.
Right?
It was 7-5. Don't give her 2 more losses.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It was I think because it was a mixture, right? It was a mixture of a lot of guys just on a mission and that was all putting in a goal, right? It wasn't all 5 stars on the field. It wasn't all 4 stars. I think it's expected when you see that. But those guys, man, you had walk-ons on the field. You had people that had paid their dues and had worked hard. You had younger guys, and you kind of sprinkled in some of the new guys, man. So, yeah, definitely 2009 was the pinnacle.
Awesome. Yeah, for some reason I thought you were going to say 2011 just because of the amount of adversity. I mean, we lose to LSU in the regular season 9-6, right? 9-6. Like that game was complete trash. Those referees were trash. The play, like everything was just garbage. And then not just that, but then the tornado that came through Tuscaloosa, where it was just like on a whole different level, right? And so I feel like for some players they hold that in their remembrance a little bit more because of that. And I think that it just gave them another level of hunger, because right after that, just a couple months after we lose to LSU by 3 points, we beat them 21-0 in the Natty. So, but I get why you said the 2009, considering almost like that overnight turnaround, like you said, from like a 7-5, season. And then I wanted to ask Hannah really quickly, anything else from your side, and then I'll toss it back to you, Dan.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool because we're talking about a turnaround between how we play with Nick Saban got here versus win national championship. But you are in a unique perspective because you experienced a national championship and then a 10-3 season in 2010 to winning another national championship. So take us through that because, we hear a lot about Nick Saban, right? I mean, Akylin Dear and him have similarities. They both care about their players. They're both driven. They both want to win. But what was it like in those seasons from winning a national championship to not winning one? What was that like? And then what was it like? What was said to you by Saban to get y'all back to winning a national championship? What was that transition for both like?
Right, absolutely. Because if we're being truthful, and I think everybody understands this, we really should have won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
After the 2009, I think, if we're being honest, we had got cocky, right? Because we knew, okay, we just won a championship with half of the guys that Shula brought in. Yeah. Right. So we was like, if we get all Saban guys on the field, like it's no way that they finna play with us. And I think that season was kind of like, it was a humble, type of season where sometimes you gotta, come back down a little bit. And so that hurt, when we let Cam come back in that second half and beat us. And I think just moving forward, we was like, okay, like we're finna really show people in 2011 that wasn't no fluke, and that this is the start of a dynasty being built. And so I think you said 2011 was already a personal year, right? And it just so happened that all of those things transpired from losing the first game with LSU to the tornado. So it was kind of adding more fuel on the fire. And I think getting to the national championship game and not letting them cross the 50, I mean, that was the icing on the cake.
That was epic. They did not cross it. Y'all, I don't know if y'all remember, and some of the young cats, the new recruits that's watching, go back and watch that national championship game. Like,
that's like, cross the line.
We didn't let them cross the 50-yard line. Like, it was on.
I've never seen that in history. Like,
crazy.
Like, and then CJ Mosley dislocated his hip.
I mean, y'all went out there. Y'all left no money on the table. Like, whatever money Cam got paid, that year, y'all left no money on. Like that was epic. That goes down in history.
It was personal. And the funny thing is, I think LSU knew that they had given us everything they had, and they barely beat us in our
kickoff. It was a kicking game. That's all it was.
So I think, even them, I think they showed up and they was like, man, we know we just lucky to be here. You know what I'm saying? So they was mentally defeated, I think, at the kickoff.
And I'm shutting up after this, but I've always wanted to ask someone from a 2009 national championship team, because I want to shut the Texas haters up before they join the SEC. If Colt McCoy wouldn't have gotten hurt, do you think Alabama still would have won the national championship?
Oh, without question.
Thank you. That's all I needed to know.
Hands down.
We just did them a favor. Go ahead.
That's
right. They have to tell themselves that lie so that they can sleep at night.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then Dan.
Well, Jerrell, big news in Alabama Nation is, today we picked up a huge commitment from Dawson Merritt. How he was our top target at the Wolf position. You know, top 100 player. He was always the Wolf target number 1.
Okay.
Saban staff. Give us your thoughts on him.
Man, dude's a stud. I watched some film on him earlier today. Man, I seen everything that you want to see in a linebacker.
Right.
Especially, you know, from lateral quickness to bending the edge, you know, using his hands, playing in space, you know, just being active all over the field. You know, he's a runner, long leg. I'm thinking, if I'm not mistaken, you know, we were the same size coming into Bama. So he's right where you want to be at. So he's going to be a big guy. You know, he's going to put on 20, 30 pounds, and he's going to be looking good. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah. A player he reminds me of, you know, not quite as long as, you know, I watched the film, is Jerrell Lewis. His ability to bend around the corner and be able to extend towards the ball carrier. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's one of those players with his length. You think you get away from him, he reaches out and grabs, trips you up.
That's right.
You know, I was quite impressed. Then his ability, like you said, to be able to play in space. You know, there was a play in his highlights where he was kind of caught in no man land in between, but with his athleticism, he was able to jump back and just bat the ball away. You know what I'm saying? That's just something that natural ability.
Yeah, you can't teach that stuff. You know, you can't teach that. You either have it or you don't. I think if I'm not mistaken, his dad was an NFL guy.
Yeah, NFL.
He was.
Yes.
What, Dave Merritt? Yeah.
And I think
Miami Dolphins.
And what position did his dad play?
He was a linebacker too, right?
It's over.
It's over.
No wonder then, because he's showing everything. You can tell he's definitely been trained well.
Right.
You know, so I'm not even surprised at that. But no, that's a huge pickup for us. I'm happy to see. Can't wait to see him get on campus.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, because anytime you can let an in-state player, you know, Zan Grady, an in-state top 100 player leave the state, you don't bat an eye. You know, you get somebody else a couple of days later that was your guy all along. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got somebody special.
Yes, for sure.
Right.
Yep. Well, before we wrap things up, we do have a question regarding your hat. So someone wants to know, where did you get your hat from?
I'm the someone.
She really wants your hat. So where can we order?
Man, so I actually just came back from doing an event down in Chatworth. And so let me make sure I shout these guys out and give you the name of their apparel brand. It is that one of my good friends is J&W Sports Apparel. Yeah, J&W Sports Apparel down in Chatworth, Georgia. Yeah, so
they're based in Georgia. Okay.
Yes, based in Georgia. So their apparel store, they have a whole lot of good Alabama stuff if anybody's in the area.
Well, that's very surprising. I live in Georgia and I rarely find Alabama merchandise anywhere. Like, they look at me crazy when I'm wearing mine and I'm like, sir, 18 national championships. Like, we have every reason to be wearing apparel. Like,
listen, you know why there are people? I open the website and the first stuff that loads is Alabama.
Okay.
Okay. And then shout out to I guess that says Loopy for Bama. Dave Merritt is the current D-line coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, so that's Dawson Merritt's dad. He played for the Miami Dolphins at some point as a linebacker. And then shout out to Ephraim Davis. Thanks for the super chat with the new college football playoff. How do you feel about playing a team 3 times?
We ain't scared. We Bama. And
like exactly.
That died 3 times, you know. We don't care.
Exactly. What you think about that, Jerrell? I don't know. I mean, is there a possibility for that to happen? I guess playing Georgia regular season, possibly. Well, that could very well happen.
We don't care.
We ain't worried. Exactly.
No, we definitely not worried. I think that, you know, it serves as pros a lot of times just because of the familiarity, right? That you're getting to build, and you know, we hope that we don't have to see them 3 times. But at the same token, I mean, if that's the way the dice roll, then you know we're okay with it.
Yeah, and we'll roll it right back.
Yeah, we'll roll it right back. Like I said, I think that helped when you know you face teams like LSU in the past.
Sure.
You know, playing them twice in that season, you know, that of course that helped solidify. And make us even more comfortable, you know, because we're facing the team. We already know what they got. So at this point, it's man on man. At this point, it ain't even about it no more.
Right. Well, we know that we're at time with having you on as our guest, but it's been a pleasure, Jerrell. I know we saw each other.
Come
We
on
linked up
anytime.
for A-Day. You know, we got to hang out at the game, and it was just a great time. But it's so great to have you on, and thank you for sharing your feedback and just your experiences at Alabama. I believe we have some great things to look forward to, honestly. And I said it before, and I'm gonna keep saying it. We're gonna win that Natty this year. I don't care what anybody has to say. We're gonna win that, and we're gonna win it next year too, because that's what we do. I mean, that's just the standard, and that's our standard. We created
And
it.
Auburn's
So
winning 4 games.
There you go.
yeah, exactly. 4 at most 5. I mean, that's just being
It's 4.
gracious. Yeah, exactly. Well, Jerrell, do you have any social media where the audience can find you, or any shows, perhaps?
No, I don't have any shows, but yeah, they can find me on Instagram at DA_General_Uno, DA_General_Uno. And then I'm on Facebook and Twitter at just Jerrell Harris.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We'll have to have you back on soon.
Yes. I love you guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate it so much. Roll Tide.
Yeah, roll Tide. Be safe. Well, and speaking of which, I mean, you know, we talk about. I know. I was like, did she hang up to go in? I know. She's like, bye. Like I'm gone. Like, Hannah, you can get right back on. No, but I wanted to talk a little bit more. We were talking about Dawson Merritt, and he wasn't the only commit that we had as of late, but there were a couple more things that I wanted to mention to the audience regarding Dawson in particular. So he's our 10th. I said 10th commit for the month of June. That's crazy. I don't know if anyone has been keeping up with it in that regard, but he's our 10th commit just in this month alone. And I think for our 2025 class, he's our 19th commit, you know, with a few more that we're expecting. And shout out to our linebackers coach, Christian Robinson. It sounds like he was heavily recruited by him. And Dawson is just elite. I think it's awesome. You know, we get this guy out of Kansas. He could have very well been like, okay, well, I'm going to go to Oklahoma because they're joining the SEC, you know, whatever those thoughts could have been. But I think that, you know, when it comes to winners and that winning mentality, you want to go to the best. You want to go to the tradition, to the standard. And that's what he did. A couple other guys that I wanted to mention, and I'm gonna take a peek at the live chat shortly, but y'all keep lighting that thing up and go ahead and hit the like button if you haven't already.
I think I scared Chris Williams away. I really do.
I don't know. I mean, but you know, he had that burner account, so he might be quiet. Like, I mean,
I don't see any dumb nuts yet.
But we be going in on them. So they're probably just quiet, just taking notes. Now, I wanted to mention a couple other guys. So we did pick up a verbal commit, in-state commit from the 2025 class, offensive tackle, Micah DeBose. He's from Pritchard, Alabama, 6'5", over 300 pounds. Huge guy. He was actually in Tuscaloosa this past weekend, and he made his announcement Saturday night. So during his visit, he made the announcement. He's the 4th offensive lineman in our 2025 class. So shout out to Chris Kaplovic, our offensive line coach. And I wanted to, before I pivot and talk about some of the other visits that we had, I want to get y'all's takes on these particular commits. So Dawson Merritt and then Micah DeBose. So Dan, I'll start with you on this one. What are your thoughts on these two? How big of a win is it? And then what does it say particularly about Chris Kaplovic? Because we were just talking about him recently when we got that pickup from Mal Waldrop. So what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I start with, you know, Dawson Merritt. You know, I spoke with him, but, you know, I spoke about him rather, but his relationship with the Washington staff, you know, so when Washington, when the Washington, the board brought his staff over, it was 2 guys, you know, in this class. Besides, you know, he had Noah Carter, you know, he wanted to bring from last class, but it was 2 guys he had circled, you know, that he didn't think there were anyone better, you know, and that was Jackson Lloyd and Dawson Merritt. Those were 2 relationships he had built, you know, two of, you know, the 3. He had 3 really with Dijon Lee as well. But those were guys he's like, okay, I haven't seen anything to change the top of the board. So when he came to Bama, they were still the guys. So anytime you hit on your number 1 guy, you're doing great.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I talked about his length, his athletic ability. I love him. I love his film. Now, Micah DeBose, he committed in a, you know, a different kind of way. He
did.
His banquet, the banquet he was attending, it was interrupted by Ryan Williams.
I know. I was watching the video. I'm like, why is Ryan up there? What's going on?
Right. You know, this guy is crazy, man. We were talking about Roll Tide Willie as the guy, man. Ryan Williams is the new thing now.
Ryan Williams is that guy, yeah.
And so, that was crazy, man. That was mind blowing, and we had to play catch up with the in-state, Micah DeBose, because he was committed to Georgia originally. Then there was serious Auburn, possibility. Then became LSU, and we had to really work to fight those teams off. Anytime, you look at that offer list, it was incredible. I think we got, we had now we got Tyler Booker and Jaden Roberts. I think they're gonna be more than capable. Him and Michael Carroll, those are the next two guard.
Yeah.
So it's a huge pickup. A freak. And he's the runt of the bunch. He's only 6'4", 320. Yeah. He's puny compared to the rest of them. But big win, huge, tremendous wins. That's nothing. We have some more coming on the way. We got two that's announced, and I want y'all to keep an eye on Friday. That's Josiah Sharma, defensive lineman, top 100 defensive lineman out of California, out of Folsom, California. He'll be announcing, I think it's 12 p.m. Eastern on Friday. Then we got Dijon Lee.
Dijon Lee, yeah.
He's announcing on Friday, and both of them you can follow their announcements on the 247 YouTube page. So y'all be on the lookout for that Friday. I expect good news on both of those.
Yeah. I've been like, you know what, Dijon Lee, and we've been talking about him for at least the last few weeks, if not more. I'm like, we got to get this guy. So when he announced his commitment date, I'm like, okay, but to me, that's what you want to do. You want to be wise when you make that type of decision. You don't want to just jump on whatever. Like you said before, Dan, he visited Georgia. He didn't commit to them. He came to Alabama, and I think he visited Alabama this past weekend. Was what, his third time in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah,
at least.
He was cornerback number 1 on Georgia's board. Georgia hired the guy from USC. They got T-Rod from us, and they were just knew that they were going to close on Dijon Lee. So that you got to see what Coach DeBoer and the staff. You got to realize, it's incredible what they're doing. More linguists, come in and Georgia staff had the heads up on us. You know what I'm saying? Because we were still building, but they had the relationship already built in place. You know what I'm saying? So Coach DeBoer, he had to get his staff. Dijon Lee at the time, he didn't know Georgia already had his position coach ready with the relationship built. Mo Linguist had to come. He was 3-4 months behind. Had to come in and and do his thing, and he ran them down. So it's a huge. We'll wait. I don't want to be premature, but we made up a lot of ground in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, we sure did. I know I don't see no trolls in this chat. Because y'all must have lost y'all mind. And I'm not gonna be cursing. Look, but let me tell y'all something. Like this Ohio State crap, y'all can go somewhere with that. Like y'all, how much of a bag did y'all have to drop to get Caleb Downs? We didn't have to pay him to get him to Alabama. How much y'all had to pay him to get to Ohio State? Like, sir, you can never.
Y'all want him to play, man. Get out of here, man.
Yeah, like if y'all don't go somewhere, Hannah, what did you have?
Ryan Day to get some sleep, get them bags off his ass.
I know. What does it say?
Tom Brady's footballs are harder than Ohio State's schedule. Now, let me say this.
He let the air out of him.
Ohio State. Okay, let me just say this as nicely as possible. Ryan Day should get sponsored by Burn Cream with lidocaine because his rear end's always on the hot seat. Okay, like he's always. And I say this because you Ohio State teams struggle to win any games, okay? You barely beat Notre Dame. Congratulations, a team who's forever going to be known as their player having a fake girlfriend. And then in the national championship game against Alabama, okay? First off. Secondly, you struggle against Maryland. You struggle against Minnesota. You struggle against all these teams who Alabama would belly flop in any tournament. Okay.
But question, Hannah, our most recent national championship 2020, who was that we beat?
Oh, that's right. Go ahead. Say it louder.
Was it Ohio State? I mean, just remind me, because y'all think y'all something, and like he just said, oh, we got Julian Sand, and it's Sand without the G, sir. So know who you have, and Caleb Downs, sir. Y'all have to come to Alabama to get the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? Like they would have still been in Alabama had they not jumped for whatever reasons, because y'all dropped a bag on them. Like,
And y'all
Come
are
on now.
back-to-back losers because not only did you lose to Michigan, which you, by the way, how much money do you have to keep Ryan Day? I mean, you couldn't get any other coach that would actually want to go there. But, I mean, you lose to Michigan. Like, you have this opportunity, and then you choke every time. Like, you just choke. Like, it's like Ohio State fans and Auburn fans have a lot in common. They're all delusional. They think this is our year. And it's never your year. It's never your year. And I'll tell you this. Not only did you lose to Michigan, y'all lost to Missouri. So, I mean, Missouri's a good team. But I'm just saying, I'm not going to slap Missouri. But I'm just saying, y'all lost back-to-back games, okay? So, you just need to keep your mouth shut and your wallet's closed. Because it's going to be really interesting. I'll tell you what, right now, y'all are in a lot of trouble because y'all got Seth McLaughlin. So I'll just let
exactly. I mean,
so may the odds not be in your favor. May your balls be flat, and may your snap count be off. How about that?
Don't talk about balls, Hannah.
Man, let me tell you.
I was going, oh my word, you made that. Listen,
no.
Fine.
Listen.
Oh my gosh.
Ohio.
May your balls be flat.
And may your snap count be off.
Ohio State is coming to new Texas A&M. They're just throwing money at the problem. They think money is gonna fix it.
No, and it doesn't.
It's not gonna fix it. It's a whole lot more than that. You know,
everybody can't be bought. Right. You know. Now, really quickly, we're gonna digress a little bit to the trolls a little later on, but I wanted to touch on a few other guys before we lose topic, because there were a few other guys that were in Tuscaloosa. What?
Justin, you gotta pin that.
What?
Pin GT18's comment, please. That just gave me life.
Seth is a true long snapper, right over and around. And
oh man. Let's get off ourselves now. Let's get off.
I know he's gone, which is good. We should be. Well, I'm gonna stop. So we had a few other guys from the 2025 class, 5 stars in particular. Which to me, you come to Alabama, you're an all-star. Stars don't mean anything, but a few others that I wanted to mention. Ty Haywood, offensive tackle. He's out of the state of Texas. He was in Tuscaloosa this past weekend. He was actually scheduled to visit Oklahoma, but he canceled it. And he stated that his visit to Tuscaloosa was fantastic. He said it was great. And he said that it was more than what he expected. So he had some really high praises for the coaching staff, the players, and he said just Alabama in and of itself. He said that Coach Chris Kaplovic is awesome. He said he's a great guy. He said that he was with him the entire time. So from the way that he's talking, I believe that maybe we'll see a commit coming from him pretty soon. But there was another guy, 5-star wide receiver, Derek Meadows, out of the state of Nevada. This is a guy that I really want us to get. I definitely could see him fitting into the scheme that I'm envisioning that, we're going to see from the coaches. Fingers crossed that we'll get Derek. But he stated that everything about the campus, the University of Alabama campus, was a takeaway from him. He mentioned the stadium. He mentioned that the people are mind-blowing, that they're incredible. And one thing for everyone to know is that he's the number 6 wide receiver in the freaking nation. So shout out to Derek Meadows. And then one other guy, wide receiver, he's another 5-star, Caleb Cunningham, out of the state of Mississippi. So this guy, he had listed Alabama in his top 6 schools, and he stated that he's going to make his announcement sometime in July. But he did say that Alabama was one of the leading schools. I believe there was another one. He was a wide receiver, Khalil Lockett, out of the state of Texas. So this is another guy. He said that he had a great experience at Alabama. He was previously looking at, I think, 4 schools, but then he added Alabama into the mix, which, I mean, I'm just like, why was Alabama not already in that discussion? But okay, at least we're here now, whatever. And then also, I think with Khalil Lockett, you think about, the Caleb Cunninghams of the world coming in behind the Ryan Williams. So Ryan has already showed, to me, he's shown the type of leadership capabilities that he has. So you have these 2 wide receivers, if they do commit, the Derek Meadows to come in behind Ryan Williams. I mean, it would just be they will go neck and neck with the class that we had with the Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy's, Devontae Smiths, John Mechie. So I'm going to ask you, actually, I'll start with you, Hannah, on this one really quickly on the names that I just listed. Any of them that stand out to you in particular, and then anyone that I may have missed?
No, I mean, I think the one that stands out to me the most is Cunningham. And I think that's just because, we've kind of heard more about him. And I'll say this, it's always interesting because some of these players are very silent, right? Like we kind of like they're more private with their process, and you have some guys who are very verbal with their process, right? Like like they're gonna go here, they're like they're posting on social media. But I guess my point now is that it's been every week. I just love the fact that people literally thought DeBoer was not going to be able to recruit. And here we are, week after week after week, day after day after day, getting new recruits. And, I think it's a lot with like what we talked about earlier in the show. And some of these guys want to be part of this program and kind of make it the old school Alabama. I really feel like we're kind of going back to the basics. I feel like we're kind of going back to the late 2000s, like the 2008, 2009 era where we were more focused on winning national championships than we were making money. And I know some of these guys are going to have flashy names, are going to make some NIL money, no doubt about that. But, when you look at some of the players, like, two players come to mind the most about who could win the most. I mean, not win the most, make the most money in NIL deals was Tua and Bryce, and neither one of them did. They were all about winning championships and being a team player, and look at them now. So if we can get some of these guys that don't care about their bag now, they care about their bag later, then I think, what you smiling about? What you keep smiling about?
I'm seeing some foolery that I'm like really trying, but I'm gonna address it. I want, that's why I haven't interrupted you, because I want you to finish what you're saying.
Yeah, what?
Don't look at the chat.
Yeah, I don't. Well, finish what you were saying, and then we can, we can.
No, Seth didn't get a bag. He got a, what do you call it? What do you call it when they're like, get out of here money?
Like almost like hush money.
Sentiment, not
like
not penance, but
severance.
Like severance. Yeah, like a severance package.
It was a severance bag.
Well, and my thing is, because I see the guy Ed, the Florida State fan that likes to be in our chat running his mouth, trying to get some accolades and some praises on the Florida State side. Sir, the one that's usually bitter about Florida State not being in the top 4 last year in the playoffs, which they shouldn't have been because they weren't a top 4 team after Jordan went down. But while you're talking, Ed, I did hear about two additional L's that Florida State, took as of today, actually. So their 4-star DB cornerback. Now, this guy, he's actually really, really good. Shamar Arnaud, he actually chose USC over Florida State. He was literally just in Tallahassee, and he's like, no, wait a minute, I'm going to USC. So I thought that was very interesting because I'm like, considering the fact that USC just lost quite a few defensive guys, not just to the portal, but that decommitted. So the fact that Shamar Arnaud wanted to go to USC instead of Florida State, to me, that speaks volumes. Oh, but not just that. We also just heard that there's a class of 2025 wide receiver from that was going to go to Florida State, and he chose the Florida Gators. So yeah, let's not do that, sir. We taking W's over here. Y'all are still taking L's like you took last year. Because see, like I said before, and I said it last week, I was actually I was kind of rooting for Florida State last year. My brother-in-law, he's a huge Florida State fan, so I was watching them. I was kind of rooting for them. But then when we have these silly goose in the chat, these trolls with these raggedy, just fans of the raggedy schools, Ohio State's want to come in here and run their mouth like we ain't been winning, like we haven't been the standard. Sir, y'all come over here watching our games more than we do. We get the best of the best. Like I don't know what else to say, because you can't really speak truth to delusion, if you will, but truth still trumps delusion. But Dan, I had to digress a little bit to that because I was seeing some foolishness in there, and I see some more, but I'm gonna get to that later because y'all gonna have to act like y'all got some sense if y'all gonna be in this chat. And shout out to the real Alabama fans that's in this chat. And let me see. Yeah, you're right, Ed. It's not that great of a year for the DB class, and it wasn't last year as well for Florida State. I mean, I'm just sorry, not sorry. Y'all come in here running y'all mouths, and then we speak the truth, and then y'all feel how y'all feel. It is what it is. But Dan, I want to get your perspective. And shout out to Linda. It's so great to see you in the chat. Shout out to Erica. Shout out to all y'all. Eddie Perkins, GT18, all of y'all. I saw JB in the chat, Jeff Stapleton, all of
Just
y'all.
shout out to all the Alabama fans.
Yeah, just Alabama Nation. Like y'all are here. Y'all are with it. But that's what we do, right? Like we show up. We don't. Yeah. Like look. But anyway, Dan, I'm gonna toss it to you. So the guys that I named, the Caleb Cunninghams, the Derek Meadows, all these guys. Any one of them in particular, Khalid Lockett, that was recently in Tuscaloosa, that stood out to you, and that we should have on our radar to commit soon?
Yes, I'm gonna say Alabama is gonna sign no more than 2 more wide receivers. You know, we got 12 scholarship wide receivers right now on the team. With all 12, you know, those highly unlikely are eligible to return next year. So we're gonna sign a small wide receiver class. That's why we had to make some tough decisions, and we still haven't hit on our top target. We got Lotsier Brooks already in the class. Yeah. So I expect 1 more, maybe 2 more. And it just come out today that Khalid Lockett is actually going to announce August the 7th.
August 7th.
So we'll just put that on the back burner until then. And, you know, say Caleb Cunningham or even Derek Meadows want to announce before then, that'll probably do it. You know.
Yeah.
So it was another one you named.
I think Ty Haywood. Yeah.
That's the one we have circled left on the board. That's our next big offensive line target, and I think that will probably seal the deal on as far as the offensive line. That gives us a full offensive line class. You know, and we also have another target, Malachi Goodwin, because Douglas Utu, he recently committed to Tennessee. You know, so our number 1 target left on the board right now is Ty Haywood. I like where we sit with him.
Yeah, same. And really quickly, I wanted to call out a couple other things, but before I do, I want to jump over to and give a shout out to our other sponsor. I don't want to miss them, whitwillsports.com. Shout out to them. They're awesome. And we talk about, you know, their title towel, what we call the title towel. It's your perfect gear. It's your perfect merchandise for the game. So go ahead and order yours at whitwillsports.com before, you know, the season starts, so that you don't have to worry about them running out of supply, because I'm sure they're going to have a lot of orders. Now, for our you know, the little raggedy Auburn fans, we like to call them raggedy rags, so they can wipe that sweat and them tears off of their raggedy faces. But go ahead and order yours, and be sure to use the promo code STANDARD at checkout so you can receive an exclusive discount. I wanted to mention another commit that we recently got, class of 2025 quarterback Keelan Russell, the one that flipped from SMU. So one thing that I wanted to mention with him is the Elite 11 finals really quickly, because I know that this is a guy that, you know, we were so excited that he committed to Alabama. So basically the Elite 11 finals, it typically happens, I believe, every year. And it's basically an opportunity for the top quarterbacks in the nations who are seniors to compete. So just to put some, I guess, perspective there, Keelan won MVP. And not only that, Julian Sand won last year, but guess who else won? Just so that you can have some frame of reference, Tua Tagovailoa won in 2016. So that just says a lot as far as just the caliber of Keelan Russell. And he also said himself that he's going to be winning that Heisman Trophy. So y'all go ahead and write that down. Dan, did you have something?
Yeah, that's old news. Elite 11. Come on now, you got to get the date. You know, just recently he was named the Rivals 5-star Challenge MVP. He ain't just playing around, man.
He ain't playing with nobody.
He ain't playing around.
Look, Keelan is that guy. And honestly, that could be why we heard so much when it came to that flip that he made from SMU. Yeah. I mean, I think that we kind of knew that we would get him, but, you know, you just never know sometimes, because nowadays some guys are going to where the bag is. And my thing is like, okay, well, you can follow the tradition and get these W's so you can get a bigger bag down the line, or you can go ahead and get your little $2 million. You probably gonna know what to do with it, but that's a different conversation for a different day. A couple other guys that I wanted to mention before we move forward, Justice Haynes and Ryan Williams. I wanted to shout them out really quickly. You know, we keep talking about Ryan Williams and his leadership ability. They hosted a youth football camp in Tuscaloosa, and it was awesome. Justice has some really great things to say about Ryan Williams, his leadership ability. He said that he's very adaptable. He's a leader. You know, he came straight from high school and he just jumped right into it, and he's really trying to, you know, stamp his name in Tuscaloosa. So shout out to both of them as well. Now, I don't know. Do y'all see Chris or any Auburn people in the chat? Because I had something for them, but
they had they're in mourning. You know, they had a rough couple of days.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna add to it. I'm gonna go ahead and say it just in case they're watching anyway, because you know they like to troll. They just like to sit back and learn from the best. I I know. Well, I did hear that their 4-star offensive tackle Card Smith decommitted today. So, he's from the state of Alabama. And I was also told that, he was kind of looking at, I believe, USC. USC. Yeah. So shout out to Card because he got there. I think he just committed in April, and he just visited them a couple weeks ago. He's like, nah, this not me. So that just goes, I know. So it just goes to show like where his mind is as well.
Y'all can blame Hugh Freeze for that. He I don't know. It's a I guess a message board internet rumor that this man took a vacation on the final official visit weekend. If that's true, that is inexcusable.
That's ridiculous.
Why his class is falling apart. This is the last official visit weekend of the summer before the dead period, and this man's on vacation, and his class is reflecting that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous if that's the case. That's actually horrible. Let me just make sure I'm not Yeah, shout out to Red Morgan. I see his name in the chat. Yeah, this guy, he's going to be something special at Alabama. I was excited when we had him commit. So really quickly, I wanted to kind of pivot a little bit to other sports and mention softball. So we actually got another great name out of the portal that I wanted to mention. She's a pitcher from UNC Wilmington, Emily Weinstead, and just so that y'all know, she won quite a few honors. The 2022 CAA, that's the Colonial Athletic Association Pitcher of the Year, and then also she was a 2-time NFCA All Regionals honor. So shout out to her. I think that we're making good strides there. Hannah, anything that you wanted to elaborate on in terms of softball?
Yeah, a couple of things. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this year. I'm not sure that we're a championship caliber team right now. Just being completely honest, we have always been a pitching dominant team. I've never been worried about our teams having pitchers. We've always come together and gotten pitchers. The concern is we still don't have a hitting coach. And our best player, Callahan, has officially transferred to Florida. And if you remember correctly, a few years ago, that's where Skylar Wallace went. And so it's frustrating that Patrick Murphy does a really good job recruiting for Florida. But anyway, there are so many things that have to change. We have the talent on this team. It's kind of like this. Let's just put it in football terms, since we are kind of a football podcast, right? It's kind of like if you recruit a bunch of 4- and 5-star players, and you don't have position coaches, right? You just have maybe one guy who is a good coach, but you don't have a secondary coach. You don't have a linebacker coach. You don't have a running back coach. You have, you miss out on actually kind of coaching these players and getting them to like grow and learn and get better. We're kind of missing that. So it's frustrating for me, not only as a fan, but as someone who loves the softball program, to see players come to Alabama, they're stagnant, they transfer, and then they blossom, right? Whether we're talking about Lacey Kilful or whether we're talking about Skylar Wallace, I wouldn't be surprised if Callahan was the player of the year next year, in all honesty. She was Alabama's best player this year, and Florida has what she needs, which is coaching. And so anyway, the other news I'll say about softball is Allison Habits, who was the former Alabama assistant coach. University of Louisiana as head coach, and that's perfect for her. That's where she's from. And sorry, I got a medical call, but anyway. So all that to say, I may have to go. But all of that to say, I'm happy for her. That's a good.
I'm gonna say all that to say, hey, you
last.
Look, you took that pause like last week, and you were like, if I was an Auburn fan, I just wouldn't wake up. And I'm like, it was the perfect pause. And I'm like, it didn't dawn on me what you were saying. I'm like, you wouldn't wake up. Like, what would you do then? That was epic. Really quickly, and this is something I wanted to toss to you, Dan. So, last week we were talking about, we had to give a shout out to Doris Limgole, our track and field superstar. She's a freshman. I'm so proud of her. Like, literally every time I keep hearing her name, she keeps getting more and more honors. Like I said, she's a freshman. She's from Kenya, and we mentioned her last week and how she beat the NCAA record in the 3,000 meter steeplechase. So not only did she beat the NCAA record, she was also named first team All SEC and first team All-American. And the ESPN guy, Dwight Stones, he called Doris the fabulous freshman from Alabama. So to receive those type of accolades, I think it's awesome. And also, I believe on top of that, as of late, she was also named a semifinalist for the Bowerman Award. So what are your thoughts on that, Dan? I mean, I know that we talk a lot about football, but I know this track and field stuff and swim, you just love that.
Yeah, we're going to keep this this Kenya to Alabama pipeline going because, you know, paying off in Crowd. And I'm not going to lie. Before last week,
I got to go, guys.
Okay, go save lives. Be good. Roll Tide. We love you.
Roll Tide. Take care.
Yeah. But before last week, I had no idea what a steeplechase was. I had to Google it. You know, I like, you know, it's actually an event and it's quite interesting. You know, you have to run over obstacles and everything. I like, man, I used to go through that, man. You know, on my walk to school back in the day. You know, I had to jump a fence, you know, walk across the river, you know,
running from dogs.
You know, I'm like, wow, man, she's the best in the world at that. You know what I'm saying? So, and just a freshman, you know,
she's just a freshman.
Quite
yeah. When she won that national championship for the steeplechase, when they were interviewing her, she said that she wasn't even thinking. She didn't think much of it. Her goal was to run a 9:20. She ran, I think, like a 9:15, and it was just almost like, I mean, that was just natural, you know. It's just what it happened to be. And so she has an extremely bright future ahead of her, you know. Like Ephraim Davis mentioned the Paris Olympics. You know, we have a few players. We won't have time to talk about them all today, but we do have a few players who are eyeing the Olympics, so we'll get into that next week. And I'm just trying to check and see if we need to address any additional trolls. Just let me see really quickly. I know we addressed the Ohio State ones because, of course, they're delusional as always.
Disgusting.
Yeah, Florida State ain't worth discussing. I mean, they still mad because they weren't in the top 4. They shouldn't have been, and then they lost to Georgia by over 60 points. Like, come on. Actually, speaking of which, because I thought about something, Nan. So for Florida State, they decided to sit out of the game against Georgia last year. Like, oh my goodness, we weren't in the top 4. Like, oh, I'm crying about that. Like, we should have been there, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, my thing is, why didn't you show up? Because what you should have, if I was a Florida State fan, I would have been like, y'all better get out there and y'all better not only beat Georgia, dominate them.
Right. That's why they are not Alabama. You know,
and never will be.
Yeah. You know, Alabama, we compete against ourselves. We try to improve on ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We compete against ourselves. There's no way. You know, we're sitting out, you know, in play with a chance. We're undefeated. Yeah. With a chance to prove something to the world. You know, it's us against the world. You know,
it's just completely different mindset.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have a team full of transfer. They're not dedicated to the program. They don't care about FSU.
What you mean? We don't know. We don't understand what it means to go undefeated, sir. In Alabama with the 12-1 loss is still a better. I mean, line up Alabama and Georgia with 1 or 2 losses, and we're still better than Florida State.
Right.
I mean,
you're not undefeated. You got obliterated. That wipes out every win, every victory.
Yeah, like honestly,
discredited the entire ACC.
Literally, it's like you literally took like an eraser and just erased every W off your little raggedy regular season schedule. Like, how do you go the entire season like, oh, we're gonna do just enough to get by, and then we'll just get right in there. We're gonna barely beat these other teams, but then we lose by 60 points. Like
let me get my little violin.
I know, like they are pathetic. Like, what you mean Alabama does not go undefeated very often, sir? Why are we in the top 4 every single year? Like, we're the best of the best. Y'all stay mad because y'all can never be Alabama. And matter of fact,
Frogman ain't talking. Frogman ain't talking. Ohio State, when has that happened?
Like, and Speaking of which, we talk about how, you know, the little raggedy Florida State, they didn't want to compete against Georgia. We had just so if your argument is because what you should have said was that Michigan shouldn't have been there, because if you got to cheat to get there, you shouldn't be there. But if your argument is, okay, Alabama shouldn't be in the top 4 because they have a loss. Well, we just beat Georgia. We handed them their first loss. You should have actually dominated Georgia. That actually would have solidified your spot in the top 4. Even with Jordan out, it still would have worked in your favor. But then on top of that, not only does half of your roster sit out, or the players that actually, worth anything sit out, you lose by 60 points. What did we do? What year was that, in 2015 or 2016, when we didn't make the national championship and we felt some type of way, but we played Michigan State. And not only did we play Michigan State, we beat them 38-0. Was that 2015 or 2016?
No, that was a playoff. Yeah, that's right. No,
it was a Cotton Bowl. It was a Cotton Bowl game.
That was 2010, right?
2010. But then too, we played Michigan in 2019. Yeah, 2019. We showed up and we blew them off the map, and no one sat out.
Right.
I mean,
let me ask you this question: if Georgia would have spotted y'all 50 points, would y'all have showed up?
It's still, hey, look, have the coaches go meet and have the captains meet at center field. Man, go ahead.
Right.
50.
This will be y'all 50 points, man.
50. 50, sir. Look, like I say, y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. Alabama is the best of the best. Every time they're watching us for a reason. They watch our games for a reason, because we are the standards. You can say what you want to say. Ohio State, y'all can say what y'all want to say, but you know what time it is. You know what time it is. When you see Alabama come out that tunnel, you know what time it is. But don't let us get to barking out of that tunnel like we used to with the Tony Browns. Don't let us come out there barking like we used to with the Eddie Jacksons. Y'all know. Since you want to run your mouth, it's a wrap. Look, it's a wrap. That's it. This year, all that talking y'all were doing, the players see this that y'all said. That's it. We winning this year, hands down. We winning. We got freshmen that's hungrier than ever. We have recruits that haven't even touched a field yet. Look at Ryan Williams. He hadn't played a down in Tuscaloosa yet. Look at the impact. Ryan Williams himself is better than the entire Florida State team, period. Every recruit that y'all got at Florida State, you can line Ryan Williams by himself, and that's it. It doesn't make sense to me. Y'all are just, it's really pathetic. It's so pathetic. I would literally, if I was a fan of one of these raggedy schools, I would literally sit back and be quiet, and I would try to learn something. But what do? They run their mouths. It's pathetic. That was not the regular season undefeated team, coach. I don't know what that means. So I just don't know what that means. So I'm not gonna entertain that. I said,
GTA team, right?
It just trolls being trolls. You're a Florida State fan, you still bitter. It's been how many months since they announced the top 4? You mean and then you got Booger McFarland up there giving y'all a false sense of hope. So you got him up there, Mr. Ninja Turtle, Mr. Donatello up there acting like, oh yeah, I'm gonna cry too because Florida State should have been in the top 4. He's an idiot too. Yeah. Let's just be real. Dan, I don't know what to say to him.
Yeah, go find us some LSU trolls. Y'all go ahead and play. We'll play a song for you on a good talk.
Some Georgia trolls. At least they have something to talk about. Come on. It's just it's pitiful, but if you gotta throw a bag of money, that's just a relationship. You gotta throw a bag of money at her. What do you think she there for? If you gotta throw a bag of money at these recruits, what do you think they there for? Come on, and they better start. But now you got Caleb Downs. He don't know if he's gonna be a running back or a DB. It's just, I don't know, Dan. I don't know what we're gonna do with him, but all I do know is that Alabama.
So they don't win it. That hot seat is gonna turn into a furnace, Randy.
Exactly. It should have been turned into. I'm surprised it hasn't yet, to be honest. But
I tell you what, I don't care. Coach Saban would have lost by 60 to Georgia. It'd have been time. We'd have been glad. We'd have been.
There is no way. Look, there is absolutely, honestly, like they said, where there is no pride, there is no shame. You think we about to go out there and play anybody? I don't care who it is. Even if we sit out there, we play the NFL team. You think we're gonna sit up there and lose by 60 points? Not Alabama.
Mike Norvell, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna march your guys out there.
You done took your behind out there looking raggedy and lost by 60 points. And to be honest, Georgia could have probably beat them by more. I believe they could have.
Yeah.
Y'all can whine and cry all you want to. You still know what time it is. Y'all come to an Alabama YouTube's faithfully. Y'all come to all our shows faithfully on the Bama Center Network.
Y'all lost to everybody, Ed. Not just the playoff committee. You lost to everybody.
Yeah. It wasn't the playoff committee. Just read the bylaws. You can't wait until the end of the season. Oh my gosh, we should have been in the top 4. No, if your best player went down, I mean, why would you even want to put yourself in that predicament?
How's that lawsuit going? Like how's they going?
Well, they want not that lawsuit where they trying to get out the ACC, where they got to pay what, like $500 million to do so. Like what?
Well, all they did, you know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be a Power 5 team. You're soon going to be a Group of 5 if you don't get out of the ACC. And all they did was that, you got the answer to that, and you couldn't stop it. You lose by 60 if it was that simple. AD, come on, man.
Yeah. No, they still salty. They don't want to call it, And then here we go. See, go ahead and take out that violin, because now you got, the Ohio State's trying to console the Florida State's like, it's all good. I feel for you. It's messed up that they left you out. This is not a game for it.
Go do a bro hug.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just go hug and kiss and just whatever you got to do, because this is not a game. It's not a game for crying. Like, this is a game of heart. You either go and you show up or you don't. Like, you can't lose by 60 and think somebody's gonna feel bad for you. If y'all would have gone in there and blew Georgia out, I would have been like, you know what? Yeah, that was wrong for them leaving. But we don't make the rules.
Make it competitive. Lose by 3, and I'm like, you know what? Florida State maybe should have been in the playoff. But I can't make an argument for you to lose by 60.
Yeah, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. They running their mouth by Bama and Texas. Bama and Texas will mollywop Florida State any single day of the week. We see they weren't trying to get an SEC.
They're going to be turned dusty if they keep up, for real.
Exactly. Like, it's just all around pathetic. We have fun with these trolls because we be trying to help them learn something. Like, y'all, look. I honestly, I know I'm biased when it comes to Alabama. I'm Alabama all day long, but if I see something that's not right, I'm gonna definitely call it out. And I would have felt like that about Florida State, but see, y'all got it twisted, because if you're gonna go up there and act like you ain't got no, because what y'all should have done, don't take that out on Alabama. Take that out on the Michigans that were there, who've been cheating over the last few years to get there. Because it's not ironic that the last few years, every single year that they were in the top 4 is every single year that Connor Stallings, I believe that's his name, that he was going to those different schools and stealing their son. It was that same time frame. So if you want to run your mouth, act like y'all have some type of sense. Like, do your research, which y'all should have been doing if you had any sense. If this was Alabama, what we would have done, we would have been like, you know what? No, Michigan shouldn't be in there. We're going to have the top 4 teams. You can't have a team that's under investigation for cheating, period. I don't care what it said. I don't care what else they have to say about it. So that's what y'all should have gone after. It shouldn't have done. Oh, Alabama lost the game. Excuse me, sir.
Everything you say, Ed D, after Florida State is should have.
Should have. Exactly. Exactly. Like, this should have happened. Like, this would have happened. No, sir. What did happen is that you lost by 60 points to Georgia. That's what did happen. Like, come on now. I mean, it's just all outright pathetic. And don't say anything about Texas either, because they were a good team as well. Like I said, it should have been Georgia, Washington, Alabama, and Texas.
Don't even talk about Texas. You know what I'm saying, Ed D?
Yeah.
Old, different league, better league.
Better. And that's why they're coming to the SEC, because they can compete.
See, now you need to go back. Go on, sit back. We're going to put y'all back at the little boys table.
They've been there. They've been there. Yeah. Look, they at the kiddie table with their Lunchables and their Capri Suns. Yeah. Like, sir,
we're gonna let you sit down. We're gonna let you sit down at the big boy table. But you're open to mouth.
Exactly. Like, sir, you can't sit with the winners, sir. Like, no, absolutely not. You sit right. Oh, you go over there in that corner until we tell you to come out, because no, you don't lose by 60 points. And then
sit down. Come on, Clemson. Y'all sit up here.
Excuse me.
I have no pride.
No pride at all. And then that's why they say, that's exactly why they say the loudest ones in the room are the weakest ones in the room, because y'all run your mouth like y'all, like something's supposed to be handed to you. Oh, because we barely beat Boston College. Like, oh my God, we barely beat Florida. Like, oh my God, we should be in there. Sir, it takes more than barely beating teams that aren't even that good to begin with. Like, let's really talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Every single week that we had a game, oh, this is going to be the game that's going to trip Alabama up. Oh, it's going to be Tennessee. It's going to be LSU. And what do? Oh, it's going to be Kentucky. Every single time we go 1-0. Yeah, we lost the tech. But my thing is, like, Alabama's never going to be perfect enough for them, but we're still the standard, and there's a reason why. They still watch us for a reason. You're here tonight for a reason, so you might as well just sit back and learn something. Like, y'all going to continue crying about Florida State being left out. We're going to keep saying that y'all lost by 60 points to Georgia, the team that we just beat in the SEC championship. Like, that logically makes
Lord, look who just popped up.
And let me tell you something, Chris, because I see you decided to join at the tail end, like y'all, like these little other trolls like to do. Y'all like to throw little comments out there and run your mouth like we ain't gonna check y'all. Chris, I heard that Auburn took another L today. Yes, they did. They had a decommit from an in-state guy, 4-star offensive tackle Card Smith. This guy he wants to go to USC over Auburn. Like what? Like in-state commit. Y'all couldn't even keep him. Y'all couldn't keep him. Don't worry about Florida State, Chris. Nah, we on Auburn right now. Don't worry about Florida State. Ed got Florida State. Look, don't worry about Florida State. He don't need no tambourine in the background. Worry about Auburn. You like to talk about Auburn, sir. Talk about them L's that Auburn keeps getting in recruiting. Like, let's talk about it.
Yeah, y'all stay tuned. Y'all just tune in to T's Take tonight.
I know.
Take your problems and issues to that department. See what he thinks.
Exactly. Look, we're done with these little raggedy trolls. Like Dan just said, we do have Teague's Take tonight at 8:15 Central Standard Time. They're going to be doing a film study on Jalen Milroe, and they have a special guest, NFL veteran Seneca Wallace. So that's going to be an epic show tonight. Like I said, 8:15 Central Standard Time. And then we have our other show airing this Saturday night. Saturday Night's Talking Bama with JB and Josh Tucker at 8:30 Central Standard Time. They tend to do giveaways and freebies and all that good stuff, so be sure to join there. Dan, do you have any socials that you want to promote or any other shows?
It's right there. Put it back up there, Justin. Catch me on X at The Final Whistle Dan. Catch me on Facebook, Dan James IV. You catch me every Tuesday night on this very network, The Final Whistle. And every Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, Crimson Dynasty, where you get the raggedy rants.
Yeah. We've deemed Auburn to take that spot, but honestly, it sounded like Florida State or Ohio State wanted more. I don't know, but y'all can keep on bringing them here though, because we like getting the views and the engagement. Keep on bringing them in here because we all for it. We can go neck and neck because we speak facts over here. All we know are W's, sir. All we know are W's, and that's just it. That's just all. You can find me on Instagram at beauty_of_intelligence. And I think we'll end it here. I think that, I'm not gonna take it there with any more trolls. I'm gonna let our lovely audience, engage with them a little further, because they could never, and that's just is what it is. Like let's not get it twisted. Come next week, same time, same place. We're gonna have more names, whether that's Derek Meadows or any of the other guys. We're gonna have more names that we're calling out as far as recruits, and I'm sure Auburn gonna have some more decommits, and that just is what it is. That just is what it is. Like, Auburn really thought they could get Juju Lewis. Sir, you cannot. He'll probably go to Colorado before he goes to Auburn. But yeah, anyway. All right. Well, y'all have a blessed evening. Thank you for sticking with us. I know we went over a little longer, but we got to let these trolls know, because every time we have a show, it's more and more of them that come in here and they like to talk slick, but we're the ones that'll talk back, and we'll let y'all know, because you can never. So be sure to come back next week, same time, same place, and roll tide, roll.
Roll Tide. Blitz, Bama Blitz.